part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
We are back. We're back.
We are. And you guys don't realize this, but for the first 100 episodes or so of the podcast, I did not have a set of headphones because we did not have an interface that allowed for me to use headphones. Well, now I've got headphones, and I'm not used to it at all. And the intro music, if you're not ready for it,
Get ready.
Will wake you up.
You got to get ready.
So I'm sitting here with the headphones like pulled away from my head, waiting for it to come in and then easing them onto my ears.
Yep.
But here we are.
Here we are. This is the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
I'm Jason.
I'm Gary.
And as always, we are brought to you by the Press Play Podcast
Network?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'll tell you one thing that's a little weird.
What's weird?
So we've done a little bit of moving stuff around down here in the studio. And we're no longer recording on a ping pong table.
That is correct.
And
we're just working on a regular table that's sitting on a couple sawhorses.
Well, we'll get the legs later. I did make this tabletop. What do you think?
Impressive work, sir.
You know, I spent a lot more money than it cost me to make this on one that ended up turning into a banana.
You did. Do we want to drive down that path?
No, I don't know. Then I'll at some point it's going to be like, you know what? I do want to go to small claims court. And I know I'm going to lose money. Back in the day, everyone started a woodworking business. And I was one of those guys who's like, I'm going to have my friend who did not study anything with this or have a job related to this renovate the furniture in all of my house.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea. Anyway, still heard about it. What I'm trying to say is it's a little weird because it takes a little more effort to look into those beautiful eyes, Gary.
What I'm trying to say is love is blind.
Love is blind. If you're
just like Stevie Wonder. Am I canceled again?
No, but it just wasn't funny.
Okay. Oh, that was also not funny.
All right,
and
here we go.
Disgusting. What do we got? What do we got?
I want to do what everyone has done all week and talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
I don't want to.
I predict he has the worst season of his life.
I don't give a shit.
You think he plays worse?
No.
Think he plays better?
No.
Have you seen these videos?
I think he plays like Travis Kelce.
Have you? You probably haven't seen these because you would be so mad.
Probably.
This is actually a great idea. There's a bunch of videos going around where the girlfriends or wives talk to their husbands or boyfriends, and their challenge is to make it sound like Travis Kelce has never been heard of until now, and how sweet of Taylor Swift to put him on the map. And it's just husband after husband losing their mind. Like, this is one of the best tight ends in the whole league for the last 2 years. Nobody's been anywhere close to him. How could you say something like that?
Well, the good news for me is my wife is as big of a football fan among women as you will ever meet. Like, ever. Yeah. She knows the game inside and out.
Whether she wants to or not, you've explained it to her.
Yes. To the point where when I was still coaching, people in the stands would ask her what was going on.
Right.
So she would be highly annoyed with what you're describing.
100%, but the videos are pretty
So
hilarious.
I would never actually be like subjected to that, but you poor guys, if you are being subjected to that, resist the urge to abuse your spouse.
That's a cancel.
I said resist the urge.
The urge is a little concerning to me. But anyway, that's all over the internet and everything. Who
I don't
cares?
like it.
Yeah.
I don't give. I couldn't possibly care any less. As a matter of fact, during the game, when they kept cutting to Taylor Swift in the box with Travis Kelce's mom, I was getting highly annoyed.
I may have missed it because I don't care enough, but I did not see a single hug or acknowledgement from Kelsey's mom to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Travis Kelce's mom. Have you?
Oh, I got you talking about it now.
Well, no, I'll talk about Travis Kelce's mom. Is what I'm talking about. Have you seen interviews with her or listened to them talk to her?
On the podcast? Yeah,
she is amazing,
she's
and
awesome.
she gives no shit. She couldn't possibly care less who Taylor Swift is or how famous she is. It has no impact on her at all.
And in fairness to Taylor Swift, which I feel really bad for her. In some ways, I do. Yeah, they had to put her in like a rolling refrigerator cooler thing to sneak her out. Like she has to Houdini her way out of a football game. That's kind of sad. It's kind of
That's
sad.
hilarious.
All right. Moving on from that, let's talk about a product that neither you and I will ever purchase to rip.
Okay.
WWE licensed product and what's going on with Panini. There's more back and forth.
I'm going to guiltily admit that I did rip a little bit of the first year they made it because I was just
The
intrigued.
old WWF cards?
No. The new Panini Prism. 2 years ago, I think was the first year of it, and everybody was going just ape shit over it. So I grabbed a few blasters and opened them.
I think I could convince myself to rip UFC. The problem is I would only want vet autos. Like, that's all I care about.
Okay.
Which, by the way, if any of you have Chuck Liddell out there, hit me up on the group because that'd be part of my PC for sure.
Okay.
But WWE, also known as fake wrestling.
Fake.
Hey, they're not spending any money at my table either way.
Fake.
The wrestling fans never come over and say, hey, you know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for some mid-90s top finest basketball and some WWE cards.
Well, neither you nor I gives off the vibe of a wrestling fan.
Is it just the social awareness?
Yeah, it's the we look like we're employed and don't live with our moms.
And no offense to our, I'm just now picturing 2 or 3 fans I know we have that I know love wrestling. And it's actually making me kind of happy.
Bless your hearts.
I hope as they're listening to this, they're gripping the steering wheel a little tighter like this.
Yeah, bless your hearts.
Those bastards.
And guys, listen, if you guys haven't figured out yet that we're probably going to offend somebody at some point or another in most episodes, if that bothers you, this is not your podcast.
Not your podcast. All right. Okay. Back to the matter at hand.
Yes,
here.
back to the matter at hand.
Panini, Rome is burning here.
Yeah, WWE a couple weeks ago said we are immediately, as of right now, terminating our agreement with you. And then they filed an injunction because they terminated the agreement. And then Panini was like, yeah, we don't care. And they just kept selling stuff. So WWE filed an emergency injunction. And that injunction was actually denied. So it's going to go to some type of a trial. And in the meantime, Panini is still going to keep selling it.
Yeah.
They're burning the place down. They're like, if we can't have nice things, nobody can
Panini's
have
like,
nice things.
we will beat WWE. Well, of all the products, we're going to win this one.
WWE probably has as much, if not more, money behind them than any professional league on the planet.
It is insane. It is insane. All right. I'm going to let you just take it away with this next topic. They're expecting me to bring it up, but I'm not.
Okay.
Do you know where this is headed?
I think. Are you wanting to talk about Tua?
I don't. You did. You said it. I didn't say it.
No, we were talking about football stuff we were going to talk about. I
And
said we
you
probably
said-
should talk about Tua.
Now you're already backpedaling from
I'm not backpedaling. I even said that I would eat
Listen,
a little bit more crow.
I have a prediction that in the next few minutes, this conversation is going to sound very different than it did 20 minutes ago when you were talking just to me.
Why do you think that?
Because you're on the record now.
No, I just said, I told you I would eat a little bit more crow. I've been very, very surprised by
All right, I'll jump this thing off. 70 points. 70 points.
Yeah.
Not NBA.
No, NFL.
Not March Madness overtime.
Didn't they say that's the most points scored in an NFL game since like 1963?
Season game, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane, and they totally could have broken more records.
Oh, they took
But
knees.
Miami Mike is a gentleman.
I do like your head coach. He is super entertaining. And the best part about Mike McDaniel is this. He knows that everybody knows that he never played a competitive down of football in his life. And so he doesn't pretend to be something he isn't. He does. I'm a big nerd.
Yep.
But I'm a nerd who understands spatial awareness and offensive football. Mm-hmm. And I'm good at it.
He really is. So what do you think is happening there? You know, I know if you're tired of us talking about Miami, I would agree. We're getting a little heavy, going a little hard in the paint with it. But if you watch football, you had to at least have a thought or reaction to what was going on there. What do you think's happening in Miami this year? Off to a great start. Numbers are dumb. I want to talk about Tua, but I'm just going to let you take off so I don't lead it.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that are happening. First, when a brilliant offensive coach has a quarterback that they click with as well as Tua and McDaniel do, and they're entering is this their second or third season together? Second. It's their second because it was his first year last year because they fired Flores the year before.
Oh, yeah, they did.
So second year together, and it's very apparent that these two live in each other's heads. Tua understands exactly what McDaniel's trying to do in any given concept, and McDaniel understands what Tua's strengths and weaknesses are. And he's not asking Tua to do things that are not in his wheelhouse. And Tua is finally understanding what his strengths and weaknesses are, and he's not trying to do things that he can't do. And that is leading to really fast processing of information by Tua after the snap, quick decisions, getting the ball into the hands of guys who are ridiculously fast in a quick way in space and letting them do the hard work. He's not trying to do all the heavy lifting. And that level of maturity and striding forward, it's like any other profession. When you understand what you're good at, and more importantly, what you aren't good at,
Right.
you're going to become much more successful at whatever it is you're doing. And Tua is really embraced what he's good at and not trying to do things that he can't. And just watching him do little things like, even when a check down isn't there, just chucking the ball away and not trying to play hero ball.
Yep.
His feet look better in the pocket.
He's hanging out in the pocket.
Yeah.
Now, the O-line gets major props because it was collapsing quicker. However, the very thing you're talking about, I do think that Tua had a tendency to kind of scramble a little bit if he started to see the pocket collapse.
His eyes went to his feet. They went to the ground.
Yep.
They went to
I
the
gotta
rush.
I got to run.
So he has faith in the offense. It's just, and I said this even the whole time that I was riding Tua just into the ground. Unlike another player that I'll mention in a minute, I think that Tua is not only a good human being, but I wanted him to prove me wrong.
Right.
I wanted him to be successful. I didn't root against him. I just didn't think he was any good.
Right.
But he's made such big strides
Yeah.
and is proving me wrong. And it makes me happy that he's proven me wrong.
Yep.
So good for Tua. If you were somebody who didn't agree with me and you were a Tua believer and you bought some nice stuff at Tua's when it was super cheap, congratulations. You're reaping the rewards now. And unless he gets hurt, I don't think it's going to stop.
Yeah. That's what is kind of crazy to me is you look at how robust that, one, the offense, but defense stepping up when they got to too. I am shocked as a fan at how good they appear to be right now.
Well, and the thing about McDaniel last year that he didn't have last year and this year so far, again, he's figured out some things too. Last year, McDaniel was not good at adjusting when teams took away what Tua was good at.
Yep.
Now he is taking, when a defense does something to take, so week one against the Chargers is a perfect example. And I won't get too deep in the weeds because a lot of you guys don't get this deep in the weeds. But what did I say last year? If you took one away from Tua, he was in trouble. The middle of the field. So teams, like week one against the Chargers this year, the Chargers were playing inside leverage the whole first half. And it was a little bit of a slog, right? So what did McDaniel do to fix that now? Instead of being static, he started bringing Tyreek in motion and forcing teams to chase and not be able to take that inside leverage. So he's adjusting to things that defensive coordinators are doing. That is a huge step in the development of a coach and a quarterback. So
it's fun to watch. It's exciting. I'm really, really excited, actually. Try not to
unlike
fanboy
Zach
too hard.
Wilson, who I hate as a human.
Did you see the video of the fan like, these tickets cost a lot of money, man. Come on.
Yeah, he's
These
just...
tickets ain't cheap. Like
Here's all you need to know about Zach Wilson. The Jets, in desperation mode, signed Trevor Siemian this week. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, the look in Aaron Rodgers' eyes was not my Achilles blew out. It was, oh no, you got Zach up next.
The look on Robert Saleh's face when Rodgers went down and he's like, oh no, we have to put this kid back in.
Yeah.
You could just see it in his eyes like, oh God. And you could see it in Garrett Wilson's eyes. It's just, he's awful.
Yep. All right, speaking of awful, We're going to do a fun little segment, and this is a little bit less hobby and a little more football, but it definitely has correlations here because we're sticking with quarterbacks. But this little segment today is called Bust ?
Okay.
So I want to run through just a small list. What I got here, 5 names, and just talk through what we're seeing. Is it time to call this a bust? Is it a disappointment? I mean, a bust might be a dramatic word for a couple of these names, but what in the heck is going on this year? Because it's not exactly what we were expecting.
Sure. Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's kick it off one that seems pretty obvious this year. Coming out of Ohio State, all the Ohio State fans like myself and you, we're excited because all of a sudden there's this new crop of Ohio State quarterbacks getting in the league and starting. And the first one was Justin Fields, and he is struggling this year.
So the one thing this year so far, and last year at the end of the season, I was able to get some all-22 film and watch Justin Fields. And it wasn't amazing, but there were strides being made, right? And then this year, it's like the Bears decided, okay, this is the most dynamic running quarterback in the league.
Yep.
Let's take that away from him.
Yep.
And the scary part about that is not only is it a terrible coaching decision, but it revealed something that I don't think anybody really truly believed was as bad as it is. And I wish Justin Fields all the best, and I hope he figures things out. But this kid can't read a defense to save his life. It is hard to watch the all-22 film. When you're just watching a game on TV and you're getting that side shot and you're not seeing everything that's developing around the field, it's hard to understand just how bad he is at reading a defense. Yes, the play calling isn't great. Yes, the offensive line isn't great. Yes, the culture and decision-making in Chicago is not great. But you know what else isn't great? Multiple receivers running wide open as Justin Fields looks at them, goes off of them to somebody who's covered and throws to the person that's covered.
Or peels away for a 2-yard run.
Yeah, it's bad. And it may be that he's just mentally checked out there. It may be that he's just overwhelmed with everything that's going on there. That could be the case. But holy God, it's bad.
Our defense is adjusting, and that's why the Bears have moved away from him running, or do they just have a really bad plan for him?
They have a terrible plan for him.
So
you can't plan for what he does with his feet. You can't.
You drafted him.
Yeah. But see, they didn't draft him. Matt Nagy and a different general manager drafted him.
That's right.
So it's hard to watch. They're tied to him right now. He's going to play the rest of the year. It would not shock me if that team doesn't win a game. And I know we're early. We're 3 weeks in, but he has no idea what he's looking at on the defense. No clue.
Dude.
I'm not exaggerating when I say that I've seen 8th grade quarterbacks read defenses better.
So here's the hobby play with Justin Fields. If you think he's miserable and he's like, all right, they want this, I'll do it. Give it a couple more weeks. Scoop up some short printed stuff, some numbered stuff on the cheap, but it is a gamble.
His stuff has dropped 60% in the last 10 days. I think it's got another 60% to go. Wow. I think you'll be able to pick up, unless he just goes out and just goes ham this week. I think within 10 days you'll be able to buy PSA 10 Prism bases for $15.
Yeah.
$18.
Yeah.
Like Mac Jones stuff is pricier than Justin Fields stuff is right now.
Which, by the way, Tua had a few weeks around that price range too. Last year before. So
but Tua never had a problem reading defenses.
No. He was lights out.
He had other issues. He had other issues.
Okay, let's keep it in the family. Bryce Young.
Oh, it's too early to say bust, but the early returns are not promising. Let's compare and contrast two guys. Who has a better receiving core, Houston or Carolina?
Houston.
Not even close. Carolina has a much better receiving core. Who has an overall just better team? Carolina. Bryce Young looks lost.
Yeah.
He's already hurt, which, as I said, was going to happen. The kid is going to be hurt all the time because he is a freaking like Oompa Loompa out there among grown men. And even when he has been healthy the first 2 weeks, it's rough, man. He's not as bad at reading defenses.
I do think the Oompa Loompa is your first cancellation of the episode.
Why?
Because you thought you were showing restraint.
I was.
No.
No? Okay, well, I tried.
All right.
He is also not processing information quickly. Throws are late. Throws are off target. All the things that made him good in college because he was playing against guys who are not as big and strong and fast as guys in the NFL, the weaknesses that he had are being amplified now, and it's not pretty. Whereas the flip side of that is you got C.J. Stroud in Houston tearing it up on a not good team, and that is awesome to see. I told everybody with ears that would listen that the best quarterback in the draft this year was C.J. Stroud by 10 miles between his size and his elite ball placement and his elite anticipation of guys coming open. He's making Nico Collins look like I thought Nico Collins would look last year.
Yeah. Up next, it looked a little bit better this last week, but over in Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett's situation.
Yeah, I think Kenny Pickett's going to be what I kind of always thought Kenny Pickett was going to be, which is a middle of the road quarterback. He's not going to light the world on fire if you give him a fantastic running game, which the Steelers don't have, and you give him a great offensive line, which the Steelers don't have. He can be maybe a few years as a top 10 guy in the league. Now, in Kenny Pickett's defense, the first 2 weeks of the year, they played San Francisco and Dallas, which are probably the two best defenses in the league.
Yep.
This week, when they played just a normal NFL defense, he looked much better. He still wasn't lights out, but he did look much better and led his team to a win. But bust isn't the right word, but let's put it this way. I bought a really big Kenny Pickett card a few weeks ago, and I'm really glad I sold it already.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Really glad I sold it.
All right. I'm sad that we're talking about this, but it just seems like he's not quite back to health. This is 100% not a bust, but I think it's a conversation point in here. Joe Burrow down in Cincinnati. I just think he's playing hurt.
He's playing on one leg.
Yeah.
He's airmailing a lot of stuff, and as a quarterback, when you're airmailing, it's because you can't follow through, and he can't follow through because his calf's still hurt. He's still at 65 or 70% of his best, which is what he's playing at right now.
Which is better than a lot of the quarterbacks.
It's better than Jake Browning, who's the backup, which is why he's playing. And he's a warrior, and he's a tough kid, and he'll continue to go out there and do it. But you watched this game last week that they eked out the win.
Yeah.
By the end of that game, he is just limping. Anytime he gets flushed out of the pocket, he is not himself. He cannot plant on that leg to really push and follow through. And as long as that's the case, it's going to be a struggle. And it's been weird, too. Like, Jamar Chase finally got off the schneid this week and had a huge game. T. Higgins had like 5 drops, legit in the breadbasket, in the hands drops, which is so weird for him. So if the Bengals have this weird vibe where only one of these 3 receivers is having a good game at a time, it's going to be tough because Joe Mixon doesn't have much left in the tank.
A big consideration is just how young that offense is. It wasn't just Joe who might have needed those reps throughout the summer. It was Joe with those receivers.
Yeah, for sure.
And, they have to get back in a rhythm. I think they pick up steam. I do think if you see a discounted Joe Burrow, I'm buying him. I don't see a reason not to.
I just picked up a numbered PSA 9 last week.
Now, there's people arguing, this is a couple things pretty quickly. Yeah. I don't disagree. But the amount of money that's invested in him is going to force there to be an investment around protecting him as well. And I do think over the next couple of years we see that in Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, final one here on our fun little shtick. And honestly, this episode's going to be a little short because we're getting ready to watch Thursday Night Football.
We are.
Jimmy G. Old Jimmy G.
It's hard to say bust because he's 9 million years old at this point.
So is Bryce Young the only bust for sure?
I think Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett, and Justin Fields are all fall into that category. Price-wise, compared to what people were paying for them preseason, they're a huge bust. Yeah. Jimmy G, the Raiders are awful. The team is terrible. He looks bad. Devontae Adams is already making noise about wanting out. I don't think Josh McDaniels is a functional NFL head coach. This is the second go-around for him, and it's no prettier than the first one.
Yeah.
I don't think Mark Davis is going to fire Josh McDaniels because they have a lot of money invested in him, and they knew bringing him in it was going to be a 2 or 3 year project. But I don't think people anticipated that this year was going to be as bad as it is. I think that they're starting to wish they had kept Jarrett Stidham.
Wow.
Which on a little aside, if you're looking for some sports card info, you might not be stupid to go buy some Jarrett Stidham on the cheap because Russell Wilson doesn't look good, and Sean Payton is not. Sean Payton is not a patient man.
He's fed up.
And Sean Payton talked a whole lot of high school bullshit this offseason to roll in 0-3 and let Russ take him down. It would not, and they paid Jarrett Stidham $10 million over 2 years.
Yep.
It would not shock me if at some point this year Russ gets benched and they bring Stidham in. And that team isn't terrible. That defense is pretty good. Russ has just been awful in the second half. He's been better than he was last year, but it's hard to be as bad or worse than he was last year. So Jarrett Stidham isn't a horrible play.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't have a whole lot about Jimmy G. He's had definitely had seasons where he put up the numbers. There's always more excitement around him than there is production.
He's always been wins over numbers.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that's Kyle
Well, I guess
Shanahan.
that's kind of the opposite of what I'm saying. So I guess there's been production over excitement.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what matters. A couple of things before we wrap up today on this shorter episode. Up first, we will not be here next week.
We will not, because you will be in Arizona playing golf.
Yeah, Nevada, Mesquite.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, sorry.
It's not my trip. It's all good.
I will be getting my butt kicked. I have played golf less than 5 times this year.
The last time you wrapped your 3-wood around a tree.
Oh, that wasn't the last time.
That was 2 times ago?
Yeah, I purchased a 3-wood since then. But it might happen again. I am going to golf with people that know what they're doing. There's a couple bogey golfers in there. There's several of them that are scratcher, or it's going to be basically whatever the cash game is. I'm just going to ask what's the max, and I'll just Venmo whoever needs it, so I can enjoy the round. But yeah, heading out there. Wolf Creek is where we're one of the courses we're playing. Which,
that'll be fun.
If you played Tiger Woods back in the day, I'll be there. I will be sending Gary a lot of photos, and
I'll be pissy.
I'll hate you.
I'll be pissy.
And then finally, this week, if you are one of our Central Ohio listeners, or you want to hang out with us and meet us, and get one of Gary's autographs, he does
it.
He will sign your butt cheek.
If any of you show up and ask me for an autograph, I'm going to be really annoyed.
Well, I didn't. Yeah. Anyway, we will be in Newark at are you guys ready for this? A big show. I know last week we talked about the one at the convention center. We're at our real card show this week.
The Moose Lodge, baby.
Moose Lodge in Newark.
Moose Lodge, $4.99 in Newark, Ohio. Show starts at 9?
Yep, 9 a.m. I will be there. Gary will be there. We do have a lot of new inventory. Gary has had to buy a ton of new inventory.
And it hasn't been going very well.
Yeah,
although,
hard.
Shout out to Craig. Craig is supposed to be bringing me some inventory Saturday, so I'm excited about that. No, he's bringing you some top loaders.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bet.
Yeah.
We get free stuff now. That's what's up. All right. This has been the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
Bye now.
Peace.